the world's most famous UFO sightings. For decades, strange lights and mysterious objects have been seen in our skies. From Roswell to the Phoenix Lights, from the depths of Brazil to the deserts of Nevada. Join us as we explore the most famous UFO sightings in history. Hear the stories, see the evidence, and decide for yourself. Are we really alone? The truth is right here.
1947. This is the year it all went off. The number of UFO sightings went bonkers. It must have been a great time to be a UFO enthusiast. Imagine sitting at home and hearing about all these wonderful sightings happening around the world. So far, all we've seen on the UFO front is our friend Ken Arnold's 9 silver shoe heel flying saucers. But in 1947, that was about to bring us ufologists euphorgasms. Is that a word? Well, it is now. 1947. Oh boy, where do we start? So let's do it chronologically, shall we? So move over Roswell as other UFO events happened before that.
Case file number 3, the Kenneth Arnold sighting. Mount Rainier, Washington, June 24th, 1947.
Okay, let's have an absolute classic of a UFO case for you with private pilot and businessman Kenneth Arnold. It was June 24th, 1947, when good old Ken took off on his little single-seater plane from Chehalis, Washington, on his way to an air show in Pendleton, Oregon, with a planned fuel stop at Yakima, Washington. He was an experienced pilot with 4,000 hours of flying time and a part-time member of the Idaho Search and Rescue Unit. He planned to detour a bit en route because a U.S. C-46 transport plane had crashed with 32 U.S. Marines on board somewhere near him, and Arnold hoped to find the downed aircraft and claim a $5,000 reward. It was then Ken saw 9 crescent-shaped objects flying in a formation and noted their incredible speed, estimating them to be moving at around 1,200 to 1,700 miles per hour, much faster than any known aircraft at the time. Arnold's sighting was widely reported in the media, with the term flying saucers quickly becoming part of ufology speak. Ken emphatically denied that he initially described the objects as flying saucers, but used the terms saucer, disc, and pie pan in his description of the objects. The government's reaction? Well, the US military of course downplayed Ken's sighting, suggesting that the objects he saw were likely a mirage or reflections from the terrain, or he could have been observing experimental military aircraft. Well, that's possible. Or it might have been atmospheric phenomena. Yeah, right. Blame it on the weather. Our friend Donald Kehoe believed him, by the way. However, the Air Force became increasingly concerned about the public's fascination with UFOs after that, leading to the establishment of Project Blue Book in 1952 to investigate UFO sightings. It only took them 5 years to do that. So boy, did Ken get heaps of skepticism and criticism and lots of other isms, I bet. Kenneth Arnold remained a vocal activist for UFO research throughout his life. He spoke at conferences and wrote articles discussing his experiences. The event had an incredible influence on pop culture in the depiction of UFOs in movies and books. His sighting inspired a generation of UFO enthusiasts, with a notable increase in UFO reports across the United States. Even the day after his encounter, several other witnesses claimed to have seen similar objects, including 2 UFO photographs, sometimes called the shoe heel UFO photographs, that show a disc-like object flying above Phoenix, Arizona, which actually resembles the objects Ken saw. The 2 photographs were reportedly taken on July 7, 1947 by amateur astronomer and inventor William Albert Rhodes. Then there's a connection to Roswell right here. This event set the stage for the Roswell incident later that summer in July 1947, which further entrenched the idea of UFOs and government secrecy in the public psyche. Sid, tell us something we don't know about this case.
This is the VOTFI 173 Flying Pancake. It resembles the form of the aircraft that Arnold drew in his initial report. Looking at the aircraft, I seriously doubt anyone had the audacity to actually make 9 of these. Out of the 9 objects, one of them had been darker than the others and of a slightly different form. There were several other witnesses to the crafts on the same day as Arnold, but the biggest sighting occurred 10 days later on July 4th, when a United Airlines crew en route to Seattle also spotted 5 to 9 disc-like objects that paced their plane for 10 to 15 minutes before suddenly disappearing.
And what's the most unusual thing you've found, Sid?
This book on Amazon, which features some of the original content of Kenneth Arnold. The author is obviously having a laugh by using the name of Carlos Allende. Carlos Miguel Allende, or Carl Meredith Allen, born in 1925, was an American merchant mariner who claimed during World War II he witnessed the Philadelphia experiment. Allende died in 1994. This book was published in 2021. I find that very strange indeed.
Good stuff, Sid. So that's our Kenneth Arnold story in detail.
Join us next time for more UFO incidents and unexplained encounters on the world's most famous UFO sightings. The world's most famous UFO sightings. For decades, strange lights and mysterious objects have been seen in our skies. From Roswell to the Phoenix Lights, from the depths of Brazil to the deserts of Nevada. Join us as we explore the most famous UFO sightings in history. Hear the stories, see the evidence, and decide for yourself. Are we really alone? The truth is right here.
Case file number 4, the Maury Island incident. Maury Island, near Tacoma, Washington, June 21st, 1947.
So let's up the ante with this next UFO case from 1 UFO to 6. And bring in some men in black just for good measure. This story gets more bizarre as it goes on. It's a classic. Listen to this. It was June 21st, 1947, which is around the time of the Summer of the Saucers, which saw Ken Arnold's famous report of 9 flying discs near Mount Rainier. Then this incident happened, and 2 weeks after this, we had the UFO crash at Roswell. A man named Harold Dahl, great name, brought his son, 2 of his workers, and the family dog aboard his boat to salvage logs from the waters of Puget Sound. They traveled 3 miles north until they reached the shores of Maury Island. There Dahl saw 6 donut-shaped discs flying in formation overhead about 1,000 foot in the air. One seemed to be malfunctioning, flying lower than its companions, eventually dropping metallic molten slag-like material down on the boat and damaging Dahl's equipment. Worst of all, his dog was so badly burned that it died, and Dahl's son was singed to the point where he was taken to hospital. Dahl was allegedly able to collect some of the debris that fell from the craft. He later produced photographs of the UFOs too, which would later become controversial. Ooh. So Dahl reported his experience to a local sheriff, who then referred him to the US military. Here we go. However, the morning after, June 22nd, 1947, a man dressed in a black suit knocked on Dahl's door. He brought Dahl to a diner in Tacoma, where Dahl enumerated detail by detail the events of the day before. The man did what is considered typical of the men in black. He issued a warning that Dahl had better not tell anyone about what had happened. Then after meeting that man in black, all of a sudden Harry admitted that what he saw was a hoax. So the Maury Island incident faded into obscurity. Hello, here's a guy that's being got at. I'm not having any of that. Let's take a deeper look, shall we? Sid, did you find anything you can add? We need some proof here.
Harold Dahl only said he made up the Maury Island incident to make the whole story go away, because the FBI agent in charge, a guy named Jack Wilcox, interviewed Dahl, who said to him, "I stand by what I saw. I saw what I saw, but I'm now going to pretend I didn't, because that's an easier thing for me to live with than ridicule."
The FBI guy said there's so much detail, it's incredible. The dog dies, the boat's damaged, the kid's arm gets burnt, the man in black shows up. There are 2 other guys on the boat. I mean, it's crazy that you'd put that much detail into a hoax. But this story gets much more juicier. So our guy, the FBI guy Jack Wilcox, decides to go tell his boss, the FBI director J. Edgar Hoover, directly that Dahl did not admit to him it was a hoax. But Dahl only said it was a hoax because he didn't want any further trouble over the matter. Hoover is maybe the most powerful man in the world in 1947, and he said, "Special Agent Wilcox, this is a hoax. close the damn case. I reckon that everyone involved, the FBI, Hoover, Dahl's wife, was happy with Dahl sort of publicly declaring it a hoax because case closed, record sealed, loose ends tied, end of story. But hang on, what about the other witnesses? Sid?
The 2 day workers recruited by Dahl. I cannot find any information about who they were. Nothing in FBI records, no interviews. They seem to have disappeared into history.
And Sid, what happened to Dahl's son?
Dahl's son Charles passed away in the 70s while living in Louisiana. Charles did not speak about the incident at all. Charles has been told to keep his mouth shut, obviously.
Yes, I think so. We are not finished yet. This case gets even more intriguing. Listen to this. On August 1st, 1947, Army Air Corps intelligence officers Captain William L. Davidson and First Lieutenant Frank M. Brown, who interviewed Harold Dahl about his sighting, took a box of evidence from him, allegedly the UFO photos and some of the alien material that fell from the craft. The 2 officers were put on a B-25 bomber and flown from Tacoma to San Francisco for the items to be examined. They both lost their lives when the B-25 crashed just outside Kelso, Washington. Now, the Tacoma Times reported that the plane might have been sabotaged or shot down to prevent inspection of its cargo. Yes, they actually said that. The U.S. Army and survivors confirmed that the plane crash was caused by an engine fire. Okay, but what caused the engine fire then? Then the FBI's conclusions and Dahl's secret were sealed for 50 years. So let's fast forward to April 2007. The Seattle Museum of Mysteries. I love that name. They arranged for an analysis of debris recovered from the B-25 crash scene. Here's where things get interesting. Preliminary findings indicated that mineral remains were possibly fragments of a meteorite. They came from outer space. Wow. You know, I hate coincidences like this. There are so many when it comes to this subject, right?
Join us next time for more UFO incidents and unexplained encounters on the world's most famous UFO sightings.